Solosis has 105 special attack, that's awesome. We're rating them all, and this is going to be an interesting one to figure out for battle prowess. As I said, it has 105 special attack, but 20 speed and not great defenses or HP. Magic Guard is an amazing ability that helps a little. Now, until you get Psyshock at level 25, its move pool is very limited, but it does have its uses. Though, to be fair, the earliest you're going to get it is like level 19 anyway, so it's not that bad. This is a tough one. It's all but guaranteed that first KO, but not really much at all after that, especially considering its later evolution. I think 3 stars of battle prowess is fair, though its availability is better than its version exclusive counterpart. In Gen 5 it's the same, but in Kalos it can be found much earlier than Gothita, in fact before the 3rd gym, which will help bring its average up to 3.5 stars. And you kind of have to look at the whole evolution line for its concept, which is very unique and interesting. They are of course based on cells, or more specifically cellular division, with the head being the nucleus and the green fluid surrounding it being either cytoplasm or you could argue amniotic fluid once we get to Reuniclus. They do also take it a step further with its dex entries and abilities, showcasing its environmental resilience, which could further hint at the famous tardigrade or other microorganisms. I may be a bit high on it, but that's really cool. 5 stars. And for design, I feel like somebody who's more knowledgeable in like microbiology might appreciate the finer details more than most, with the organelles and cleavage furrows and I don't know. But it's still a very cool and interesting Pokemon without that knowledge. This is very clearly a cell-style Pokemon. You guys voted this one around 3 stars, but I actually think that's a little bit low. Solosis and its color scheme and just overall look is very visually appealing and a nice design. 4 stars, which actually gives Solosis 3.875 stars overall, higher than Gothitelle. Oof. Duosion is the perfect link between Solosis and Reuniclus. We're rating them all, and in terms of battle, it has a very similar conversation as Solosis. It has an insane 125 special attack stat, which I think is actually the highest of a not fully evolved Pokemon. But again, it is very frail and painfully slow. Magic Guard is a very cool ability, but isn't really consistently in play, and its move pool really doesn't get that much better. Sure, you are going to be able to find some of these great TMs before it evolves level 41, but in that time, it's going to be very risky to use. 3.5 stars. And availability is going to stay the same as Solosis's 3.5 stars. And its concept is also pretty obviously more of the same. It is the next step in the cellular division story of this line, Duosion being the mitosis stage, I think. I haven't been in school since like 2012, give me a break. But again, their abilities also hint at tardigrades and other microorganisms for their famous environmental resilience. But I do really like how Duosion specifically divides its brain into 2, maximizing its psychic powers. 5 stars. But as I said at the start, I think Duosion bridges the gap for this evolution line perfectly, showing the growth of the little body and arms and the floating bit at the top, which is that the second brain? I don't know. But it very clearly shows that this Pokemon is based on cellular division, and the green cytoplasm floating around it gives this Pokemon so much more character and visual appeal. Another very rare occasion where I'm higher on a Gen 5 design than most of you guys, but I think this is a 4.5 star design. So that all merges into the final score of a very nice 4.125 stars overall. Reuniclus is one of the cooler and more unique Gen 5 Pokemon, but can outperform its version's counterpart. We're rating them all, and in battle, it's fairly similar actually, but Reuniclus has a crazy high attack stat of 125, which, fun fact, is actually the same as Duosion. Its HP and defenses are also pretty decent, but its speed is very clearly its glaring weakness. The main argument there is of course Trick Room, which would make Reuniclus an absolute problem in battle, and you can get it pretty early on in Kalos, but not until post-game in Unova. Sure, Reuniclus still has a great move pool without it, even by level up with screens, recovery, and solid damage, not to mention its great TMs. This is tough. It is very clearly a 5 in Kalos, but in Unova and its sequels, it's probably a 4 or a 4.5, so I'll go with 4.5 stars in battle prowess. Availability though, as we saw with Gothitelle, it has to take a bit of a hit from Solosis's 3.5 stars down to 3 for that late evolution. And this is one of the more unique and interesting, yet straight line and makes sense concepts of Gen 5. This whole line is based on the story of cellular division, with lots of evidence and inspirations to show that fact, all of which make me feel really dumb. But it also seems to be based partially on a fetus surrounded by amniotic fluid, which I am well versed in as I'm about to have my 3rd kid, thank you. There's also the whole water bear or tardigrade inspiration with its environmental resistance shown off in its abilities. Again, I may be higher on it than most, but that is so interesting. 5 stars. Its design is also really good. In my opinion, this is one of the more memorable Gen 5 Pokemon. It's so unique in the fact that it looks like a fetus, which most people probably would not like for a Pokemon, but it's still this cool and arguably cute, is a testament to how great of a design it actually is. As per usual, the final evolution pulled much higher than its pre-evolutions, but I'm inclined to agree for Reuniclus. The little alien-looking fetus body psychically controlling its separating cells, which form powerful arms wrapped in cytoplasm or amniotic fluid, really give this thing a look of almost extraterrestrial. It's just so cool and so unique. 5 stars. Which means Reuniclus shows up with 4.375 stars overall, and our first new addition to the top 5 in a while.